I just love how by episode 7, you could immediately tell that the old team got fired and the new team came in, because the change in quality from episode 7 to 8 is noticeable. I can't even imagine what this show was originally going to be before the creative overhaul. But thankfully, we are not living in that timeline. So, Daredevil Born Again is basically season 4 of Netflix's Daredevil. The show is created by Dario Scartapane and it stars Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, Wilson Bethel, Deborah Ann Woll, and John Bernthal. Daredevil Born Again begins several years after the events of Daredevil Season 3. Matt Murdock stopped his activities as the masked vigilante Daredevil, as he continues to fight for justice as a lawyer while former crime boss Wilson Fisk is elected mayor of New York City, putting the pair on a collision course. When I first found out that Daredevil was coming to the MCU in his own show, I got super excited. But then it was revealed that this wasn't canon to the Netflix show. This was going to be a whole new original show, and all of the OG characters from the Netflix show were not going to be in this one. So no Foggy, no Karen, no Bullseye. It was just Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. At one point, they were going to recast Vanessa. And that news had me, along with a lot of other fans, very concerned about this show. And then at some point during the production of the show, Kevin Feige must have saw how ass this show was gonna be and implemented a creative overhaul immediately. And ladies and gentlemen, that creative overhaul was the best choice for this show. All of the OG actors signed on to reprise their roles. And as of right now, they are currently filming season 2. Do you know how terrible your product has to be for the actors to come out with their disdain of the original production? That is gotta be embarrassing. And here we are now with Daredevil Born Again, and I gotta be honest, for a show that was Frankenstein together with old footage and new footage, it came out pretty damn well. And look, I like Born Again a whole lot, but that Netflix Daredevil show, to this day, is one of the best projects Marvel has ever put out. Period. And I'm glad that we have Born Again, because Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is one of the best casting choices of all time. Seeing these two powerhouse actors back together warms my heart up so much. Charlie Cox brings in such a high level of charisma to the role that it truly highlights Matt Murdock's intelligence, cleverness, and even sassiness at times. Matt Murdock is one of the coolest characters in all of the MCU, but seeing Charlie just transition from the slick talking clever lawyer to the ultimate badass in the Daredevil outfit will never get old. And Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is a force to be reckoned with. When this guy enters a room and starts talking, I am terrified. The way that Vincent D'Onofrio approaches Kingpin is super intriguing. He has a certain cadence and pattern in his speech that honestly makes him even more terrifying. To me, Kingpin is like a child with super strength. He may have a short and childlike temper, but he will obliterate you. But seeing how both Charlie and Vincent approaches their characters, and seeing how both of these characters interact when they're in the same room, is nothing but fueled up tension and anxiety. This show has some pretty good writing for the most part. In my opinion, the writing in the Netflix show is way more superior, but in this show, it's still pretty solid. There are moments of great dialogue. There are moments of great tension. For example, the diner scene between Matt and Fisk, or the first time we see Matt and Frank on the screen together, or even when Matt is talking to Kirsten having his doubts about the justice system. These are the moments that truly reminded me of the Netflix Daredevil. And even if you were not a fan of the writing in this show, there is one thing this show tackles that I don't think a lot of us expected, but you gotta give this show its props for tackling that subject given the current political climate of the states. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I am talking about people that are rocking Punisher tattoos. So in the show, we see how a bunch of crooked cops are idolizing and praising Frank Castle. They want to follow his footsteps. They treat him like he's a spirit animal. And if those scenes offended you, I'm glad they did. Because some of y'all clearly do not understand the Punisher and what he stands for. I have seen people in real life wear Punisher tattoos. I have seen people have Punisher skull wallpapers. In fact, there are real life police officers that have the Punisher skull stickered on their patrol car. Like, dog, what the fuck is this? Frank Castle is not a person officers of the law should be looking up to. Frank quite literally hates cops. In fact, he kills cops. So in the finale, Frank Castle was calling them all a bunch of clowns. And I was laughing at that. But that's just me. The only new characters that I truly cared for was Hector Ayala and Angela Del Toro. So Hector Ayala is the White White Tiger, a vigilante who wants to help the people of New York. The show does such a phenomenal job at establishing the heart and the humanity of this character. You see how he's caring, you see how he's honest. He is quite literally a man of honor. We learn more about him and his motives. We learn more about him and his family, and it makes you love and support the character even more. And shout out to the actor who played as him. Rest in peace to this tremendous actor. And then you have Angela Del Toro, who honestly is just as fantastic. I've never heard of this actress, but she killed it. The way she's able to bring in this level of heart and emotional pain and present this rage against the system was done tremendously. They're definitely setting her up for the future of not just in Daredevil, but in the MCU, and I'm looking forward to it. The entire cast is fantastic. Wilson Bethel as Bullseye, John Bernthal as the Punisher, of course. These two castings are one of the greatest castings of all time. And with this show being rated TVMA, you can expect there to be bloody violence. I would argue Netflix Daredevil was way more bloody and violent, but this show was also pretty violent, but I feel like in certain episodes it was kind of tame until the finale because, they went all out with the violence. That Kingpin kill scene was gruesome. And they used practical effects on top of that. I need more of that in season 2. Overall, I really love the story in Born Again. So obviously they're going with the Mayor Fisk storyline. We see how power-hungry Wilson Fisk becomes, similar to how he was in season 3. But I feel like with Born Again, the stakes are way more higher and it's really going to impact the future of the MCU, especially for our grounded characters living in New York. Sony, play ball. But one of the best parts about this show is seeing the parallels between both Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. I love how we see Matt Murdock trying to slowly step away from the shoes of Daredevil and try to let the system handle any problems. And we also see how Wilson Fisk is trying to become mayor and he's trying to clean up his act. But we see how both of these characters are fighting their demons to prevent giving in into their old ways. But unfortunately, temptation got the best of them. And it has me super excited for season 2. There is so much that they can do with this second season, but I only ask one thing. Please bring them back. Given how season 1 ends, this is the perfect alley-oop. Matter of fact, bring in Moon Knight, bring in Echo, bring in Spider-Man. Sony, play ball. And I really did love the therapy sessions with both Kingpin and Vanessa and Dr. Glenn. It kind of reminded me of the therapy sessions between Tony Soprano and Dr. Melfi. But despite the good of this show, I do have some problems. The handling of the character of Muse was done poorly. Muse was a character that I actually kind of was looking forward to, and somehow they dropped the ball on that character. Muse does come across as terrifying and unhinged. The problem is we don't see enough of that. Muse was a character that was introduced, disappears, jumps back in, disappears, then comes back again. And I did not like that handling, not at all. And the show had the absolute audacity to make it seem like both Dr. Glenn and Muse had like this huge rapport between the two. The problem is we don't see none of that. Muse and Dr. Glenn only have 2 scenes together in the entire season. The very first episode where he's unmasked, and then in episode 7 in the therapy room. What a waste of a villain. There were some fight scenes in this show that weren't edited the best. The only time the action was truly amazing was during the creative overhaul. Pre-creative overhaul, you can tell there were a lot of edits done, especially during the final fight scene between both Muse and Daredevil. There were so many cuts in that fight. That was almost as bad as that one scene in Taken. But again, it wasn't all bad. There were some good action edits, like the one-shot sequence in episode 1, episode 9, and arguably episode 5. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I did not care for most of the supporting characters. I didn't really care for Kirsten, I didn't care for Cherry. I did like Dr. Glenn at first, but given with how they handled her, especially in episode 8, I don't think I like her anymore. Let me give you a hint for what happens with Dr. Glenn. They kind of pulled an Amber in season 1 of Invincible. Maybe they'll give her character a 180 in season 2, but for right now, I kind of don't like that character. But in the end, guys, I enjoyed Born Again a whole lot. I love seeing both Matt Murdock and Kingpin back. I love this dark, bloody, and grisly world, and I look forward to a much better season 2. Or you could argue season 5. So, plugging Daredevil, Born Again, season 1. Into the rank system, I am placing this one into the pinnacle zone. But yeah, y'all, that is pretty much my review for Born Again. Let me know down in the comments section below what you guys thought about the show. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you look forward to in season 2? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comments section below. And as always, guys, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all in the next one.